This is a story from the fortune ledger. Before Apple, before Android, before smartphones reshaped how humanity communicates, there was Nokia, a company so dominant that, at its peak, nearly one out of every two phones on Earth was made by a single name. If you owned a phone, it wasn't about which phone you had. It was a Nokia, unbreakable, reliable, everywhere. And then, almost overnight, it vanished. Not because Nokia was weak, not because it lacked money or intelligence, but because it failed to see the future clearly. This is the story of how Nokia rose, ruled the world, and then lost it all. Title card fades in. The rise and fall of Nokia. Nokia's story doesn't begin with technology. It begins in 1865 in Finland, as a paper mill operating quietly along the Nokian River. For decades, Nokia survived by doing one thing better than most companies ever do. It adapted. Paper became rubber. Rubber became cables. Cables became electronics. Each reinvention wasn't glamorous, but it kept Nokia alive while competitors disappeared. By the 1980s, Nokia stepped into telecommunications, just as the world stood on the edge of digital connection. The timing was perfect. Then, in the 1990s, Nokia made a decision that would define its destiny. While others hesitated, unsure whether mobile phones were a niche or a revolution, Nokia went all in. It abandoned most of its old businesses and committed almost entirely to telecommunications. That single decision changed everything. By the early 2000s, Nokia wasn't just winning. It was unstoppable. Its phones were durable, affordable, simple, built to survive real life. These weren't luxury devices. They were tools. Phones designed for construction workers, farmers, executives, and students alike. The Nokia 3310 became legendary. A phone so durable it felt immortal. At its peak, Nokia controlled over 40% of the global phone market. It became Europe's most valuable company. It was Finland's national pride. Its ringtone was recognized in every corner of the world. In some countries, Nokia alone accounted for a measurable portion of national GDP. For millions of people, a phone wasn't just a phone. It was a Nokia. But dominance carries a hidden danger. By the mid-2000s, Nokia believed it had already survived every major technological shift. That belief slowly hardened into confidence. Then confidence became complacency. In 2007, a man walked onto a stage holding a device that would redefine the industry. Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone, a phone with a full touchscreen, no physical keyboard, a focus on software and apps. This wasn't just a new phone. It was a new philosophy. Inside Nokia, the reaction was calm, almost dismissive. Touchscreens existed. Apps felt unimportant. Buttons, they believed, were what people wanted. The iPhone was seen as expensive, fragile, and impractical for mass markets. That misjudgment would cost them everything. Because Nokia didn't underestimate hardware. It underestimated software. At the heart of Nokia's decline was its operating system, Symbian. Symbian had powered millions of phones and helped Nokia dominate the early mobile era. But it was never designed for the future. As smartphones evolved, Symbian struggled. It was slow to develop, difficult for app creators, confusing for users. Even simple updates required massive engineering effort. Developers grew frustrated. Innovation slowed to a crawl. Meanwhile, Apple rebuilt mobile software from the ground up. Google launched Android, open and flexible, inviting the world to build on it. Developers followed opportunity. Consumers followed developers. Apps became the center of the smartphone experience. And Nokia was being left behind. The tragedy wasn't a lack of talent. Inside Nokia were some of the best engineers in the world. But innovation stalled because of internal politics. Teams competed instead of collaborating. Departments protected their own projects. Middle management slowed decisions to a standstill. Fear replaced boldness. Multiple software platforms were developed at the same time, splitting focus and resources. Everyone knew change was needed, but no one moved fast enough. By the time leadership aligned, Apple and Android were already miles ahead. In 2011, Nokia made a desperate bet. It abandoned Symbian entirely and partnered with Microsoft, tying its future to Windows Phone. The move was bold and extremely risky. The design was modern. The interface was clean. The vision was different. But it lacked one thing that mattered most: an ecosystem. Apps were missing. Developers stayed away. Consumers didn't switch. Retailers lost confidence. Sales collapsed. Nokia had bet everything, and the market didn't follow. In 2013, the unthinkable happened. Nokia sold its mobile phone division to Microsoft for $7.2 billion. The company that once defined mobile phones stopped making them. For employees, it felt like the end of an era. Microsoft tried to revive the brand. It failed. By 2016, Nokia disappeared from smartphones entirely. A giant had fallen. But Nokia did not die. It returned to its roots: telecommunications infrastructure. Today, Nokia operates behind the scenes, powering global 5G networks, internet backbone systems, critical communication infrastructure. You may not carry Nokia in your pocket anymore, but your calls, messages, and data still travel through networks built by Nokia. Nokia's story isn't just about failure. It's a warning. Market dominance does not guarantee survival. Past success can blind future vision. Hardware means nothing without software. And no company, no matter how powerful, is immune to collapse. Nokia didn't lose because it lacked resources. It lost because it failed to see the future clearly and act fast enough. Once, Nokia connected the world through phones. Now, it connects the world through networks. Different role, same impact. So the question remains: was this the end of Nokia? Or just the end of one chapter and the beginning of another? The fortune continues. If you want more stories of money, power, and collapse, subscribe to the Fortune Ledger. Every empire leaves a record,